Okay, here we are with another pro player point of view. Today we are watching Kvoth versus the Rappel. So we are watching Kvoth, which is the Oranos player, and he is playing against Hades. So we are watching just from Kvoth's point of view to see what he can do as the Oranos player to take out Hades. Now, Atlanteans are pretty strong this patch, and Oranos can obviously do a lot of things with transporting around with his sky passages. So we're going to see what Oranos can do here. It looks like he's just sending out the oracles in a kind of standard pattern. When I was watching Chemo play, I think it was Chemo, he scouted very aggressively with one of them to see if he wanted to put some very early pressure onto his opponent. But I guess the thing with doing this against Hades is just going to drop Sentinels and you're not really going to get much done. So it's unless you just want to force out Sentinels, it's probably not worth it. Loads of hunt here. Look at that, eight giraffes, pretty crazy. But I've seen a lot of Oranos players or Atlantean players recently have been going for some kind of a counter barracks only play, like just getting Termers or getting Catapulties and Termers. So we'll kind of see how that works. Termers obviously not going to be very good up against some of the Hippocon or Hippias that come from Hades, but that we'll have to see. So it looks like a citizen is coming up here already. So hopefully later on, as soon as the Hades player advances to the next stage, he'll be able to drop a sky passage down and then be at home as well. And I think that's just a really nice play. So really, we're going to see the sky passages being utilized here. Oh, and I'm really sorry, I haven't dropped down. I forgot I just played one game and I haven't dropped this down to a nicer viewing speed. So we are seeing an oracle look over here, and it looks like the Hades player does have a forward gold mine, but the sentry tower is on it. A house is already protecting it. A temple here. There's probably going to be another house or a wall here. And then the sentinels will probably be about here. Obviously, we can't see the town center yet, but you just imagine that the town center is probably going to be about here. But we don't want to look because that wouldn't be fair watching from Kvoth's point of view, but you just assume that. But it looks like we're going for quite a fast advance time. So Atlanteans now have 50 more wood in the archaic age, so you can basically just have 1 wood, 1 gold, everything else to food, advance whenever you want. If you want to do a crazy fast advance time, like, you're welcome to it. You can get up for like a 3:30 if you want one. But if not, you could just delay it whenever you like. So Sky Passage is coming up. There'll be a Sky Passage here. It costs 5 favor. And then there'll be a Sky Passage on this spot, I imagine, whenever he wants. I'd be surprised if I didn't see Kvoth getting out more oracles, because he's going to want lots of favor income to drop down these sky passages. Keep using shockwave. Later on, probably going for chaoses or satyrs, something like that. But it looks like with quite a fast advance time, maybe he can't get it as soon as possible. So with the split here, he's got 1 food, or well, 2 food, because obviously he's building the sky passage. Then the rest wood and gold. So he's either going pure Terma to put on some pressure, or he's going to go for a second town center. This second town center is okay. There's a gold mine relatively close, but it's a little bit away here. But obviously with the sky passages for Oranos, that's not really a problem. And then some baboons over here. But he's got so much food here. He's going to be loving that. As soon as he finishes the zebras up here, he's going to want to go across. But we'll see what he goes for. I'm going to assume Terma. But he is getting quite a lot of resources in to potentially put down maybe some Terma pressure into a second town center. Something like what one of the old players from Age of Mythology, the Titans, used to do, Army Corps. He kind of did this thing where he'd go lots of Terma into a second town center at like 8 minutes. So we'll see if that's something that would even happen on Retold. But we're sitting back here. We are getting a military barracks, so scratch that. Completely different to what I said. Kind of interesting that he's basically got enough to put down a town center and then gone for a military barracks. So maybe this is where he's heading. Yeah. So he's going for an early second town center into potentially Mamillo to defend against anything coming up. He's also stopping his opponent's second town center with a Carnivora Shockwave combo. It will at least delay it. And how it works now is when it gets completed, it won't be at full HP, so he'll have to spend some time actually repairing that if the Rappel wants to do that. And really nice to stick. He's going to have to stick the Oracle back there and hide it because it's under a bit of pressure now. Some things jumping into the Sky Passage. This is what you can do as the Oranos player, just Sky Passage around everywhere, especially onto something like this hunt. It's really nice. So 2 town centers each. Not really sure who this favors. I mean, obviously a super late game is always going to be Greek favored, so Hades. But I imagine what Kavoth will probably be doing is maybe going into some Mamillos with the Oceanus tech, which is, I don't know whether I can click on it and see it. What is it called? Bite of the Shark. So this is where it kind of puts the poison damage on. Maybe that's what he's just going to defend any of the hippiest raids that are going to come his way. And then maybe he's obviously getting the counter barracks here, getting some heroes if he's expecting the Minotaur to come over. Not a bad idea. And it looks like he's fine within this corner. This is the kind of game that you need to play as Atlanteans. You need to hide these guys in all of the corners, which is exactly what Kavoth is doing here, and he just wants to hide it so that he gets as much favor in as he possibly can without being seen. And also this one's got a really nice view of however many villagers are here, but I mean, it's going to be very hard to raid. You're going to have to run through this little spot here. This is basically free. Much nicer than Kavoth's second town center, but with the Sky Passages, not really a problem. Zom coming down in the main base, and a little bit of raid onto the Minotaur with those 2 hero Mamillos that we saw. Just trying to get rid of some of the free units, and not much else is actually happening. So it looks like he's probably going to be going up to the heroic age. Just got a couple of military barracks down for defending, for a small amount of raids, but I mean, this map has been defended pretty well. You've got the 2 sentry towers, the Zom in the main base, and then these houses here. You're not really going to be able to do much. He'll obviously be able to just hit the Minotaur, but not too much can be done. Unfortunately, the Caladria couldn't stay around because the Achilles would have just destroyed it, but it looks like they are definitely fast enough to take this Minotaur down. So this would be a nice free kill. He might not be able to kill it off. Oh, just about. Hopefully he doesn't lose these because he can get these back up to full HP. Oh, that's so unlucky. He could have got them up to full HP. He just went a little bit too deep for it. He could have absolutely left that Minotaur on 1 HP because the Hades player has no way of healing that up without using Restoration, which obviously you're not going to want to use until you've got way more units out. But not many units being made. It's kind of a slow game. It's really strange to see how Oranos and Atlanteans are played in Retold. It's a lot slower, but you can see that he's got eyes everywhere, eyes over here. He's seeing that the Rapple is already farming, which means that obviously he's got the map pressure and he can use as much hunt as he wants to, which means he will be ahead if all the Hades player wants to do is sit back and farm. So he's spent all these extra wood on something that's slower to gain food. And he'll be able to delete this Sky Passage, move up to these Rhinos, and he's going to be all over the map. Getting up some more military barracks. He's almost at that point where he can go up to the next stage, and he will be going through Hyperion. Hyperion is the choice right now. There isn't really a choice with how broken Chaos is. Chaos is an extremely strong god power that only costs 60 to reuse. I'd say it's better than Aphrodite's Curse, and it's... yeah. And it costs less to reuse. It's just crazy. It's quite a small radius, which is the only problem with it. But especially as someone like Hades is going to be wanting to build lots of archers, if you can use that on an archer ball, then they can kill each other extremely quickly because they have such high DPS and really low HP. But you can see how long these giraffes have lasted. There was, what was it, like 9 of them or 7 of them, whatever it was, with 300 food each. It's got so much value from that where he hasn't had to do farms like this. So he's in a better spot than Rapple is for sure. He can even come up here, grab the Hades players giraffes with a... So how many was it? Was it 7? With another Sky Passage if he really wants to. But it looks like these villagers came back. You can delete the Sky Passage now because it's not very useful. Maybe it is useful for these citizens if they want to sit on the wood line, but it's not being raided right now. And you would just assume that the enemy player is also going to the heroic age. Lots of upgrades coming in. So we are getting frontline heroics. Oceanus reduces the cost of promoting units to hero. So I think this one's bugged, or not bugged, but it's a lot cheaper to convert to heroes than it should be. So he's utilizing that. Why not? It's in the game, so why wouldn't you? This guy's getting away with so much. So it looks like he's got out an extra oracle. It's something that I like to think about is like whenever you're in set points of the game, this is when you want to look at certain things. So if you're ever going up to the next stage, you want to look at as every civilization, do I have enough villages on favor? Do I have enough oracles on favor? Do I have enough monuments? And it's just something because it's normally a bit of a lull because you don't want to be attacking as you're about to spend loads of resources. It looks like there's a bit of a curse here. It looks like he just baited out that curse, which is absolutely fine. And he still has the sages, and he can just turn and burn these Nemean lions really nice and quick. You could use a chaos here. It just wouldn't feel that nice to use. It looks like he's going to have to go back with the citizens. Really nice use of the carnivora. I love to use it on the archers because it makes them move. Archers have such high DPS, so just doing it like that. Hopefully that satyr can get away from the Chiron. Didn't notice that, but it looks like he's going to get a Nemean lion pick for a satyr pick. No, not quite. He's got a lot of military buildings here, so he does have the defender's advantage, but it looks like he's throwing away some units. I would just retreat off of this. You've got a gold mine over here. Really not a problem. But you don't want to get caught building units into where your enemy has a lot of units here. It's something that happens to me quite often, but it looks like he is just going through it anyway. He does have so many archers in the queue. He just needs to garrison them in the buildings and then select them all afterwards, which is exactly what he's doing here. Select them all afterwards, right click out, then press your eject button and they'll all pop out. So lost a little bit of value there, but he'll be able to get away in the sky passage. I think he just hung around for a little bit too long. These units are going to take so long to actually take out these military barracks, so if he just retreated, he wouldn't have really been in any pain there. This sky passage going down, that sky passage was now useless because he's got max value from it, and now sky passage down the bottom on this gold mine and a sky passage up here to convert them over to the wood. It'd be a good idea to get a sky passage here, a sky passage right here, so he can just swap them between this wood and gold and then this wood and gold, but it's really nice play with the sky passages. He's also getting lots of cavalry out, which will be a good counter to the Hades archers that you have already seen, and assume that he will be going. He is obviously going some hot plate too, and these hot plate will most likely be getting Sarissa, which means they'll have a little bit of range as well. So the hot plates are quite strong, so he's got to be a little bit he's got to realize that, and he absolutely does. What you can do is do a bit of micro where you run in your heavy Cantarius, or medium Cantarius, sorry, bait out the units for your archers to snipe, and then you don't lose much XP on the very fast horses, and you get a lot of DPS done with the archers. What I like to do is put them in separate control groups to do that. It looks like there's been a raid down here that I completely missed, but because of the sky passages, he won't have lost any villagers, and he's getting, I imagine he wants a sky passage over here. Very surprised if he didn't. He's also left so much gold at home, which is a really nice play. So it means that even if he's on the defensive, it isn't really a problem. Really nice raid here. Really nice raid. Cuts off the path of the wooden gate there, and all of these are gonna go down. He's got some archers here for a really nice play. What a good raid. So this is where the Oranos player has had a lot of his villagers raided, but he just jumped in the sky passage. Not a problem. And then the Hades player has been raided and he couldn't run away. So it isn't that much of a big deal if you're out of position as the Oranos, if you have the sky pastures there. These are a bit out of position. He doesn't need to be here. Can absolutely come back. Getting watchtowers would be a good idea. See if watchtowers is about to come in. Yeah, it's just because it stops these tiny little raids here. The tiny little raids can be really frustrating, but if you have, big fight over here that I just completely missed. Shockwave into restoration, and then restoration just means run away. Restoration, it's just, there's just no need to stay around for it. Chaos after the restoration means that he could come in. If the Arcus were a bit further forward, he would have got so much more value. But Peltast against Peltast is basically what the Chaos did there, and that is the best value for it. If you get counter units against counter units, but the Arcus weren't in the great spot there. If they were like a few steps forward, probably half of these would have been dead now. He needs to change his rally point to be back as well. That's just one thing about when you've kind of lost the fight is you want to do that. Really nice play here. The Rappel didn't use attack move, which means these guys were just waddling forward, and Gavoth got a few seconds worth of value there. That's just something you just really want to get if you can. Destroyers against Peltas, the perfect counter. How is this eco looking? It's more just the Rappel is out of position with these, and the heavy Cantarius just run in. Really good counter there. From the hoplites. Oh, bit of frame drops. Classic new game there. Loads of these are so low HP. If he can get some destroyers in there to tank, so the Arcus can actually get their damage done. Looks like there's low HP units everywhere. The Rappel is kind of running away with this. Unfortunately, the Gavoth has to say no. There were some really nice plays there. The raids over here were really strong. Really nice plays with the sky passages. I just think there was a couple of times where he didn't rally the units into the military barracks when he probably should have a little bit earlier. And then the chaos, if he would have been literally 2 steps forward with these Arcus, most of those would have gone down and it would have been in such a better position. But close one. Really nice to see some high-level Oranos, though. I think Oranos is a lot harder to play than something just like a Greek one. Greeks are kind of worked out very early on, but Oranos still has some bits to work out. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.